Are we live?
As soon as that. We
All right.
are.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the June 25th special meeting of the Metropolitan School District of North Posey. We'll open the meeting by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment of silence for Joe Fulkerson, he was our custodian for over 30 years and passed away today. Thank you.
All right, again, I'd like to welcome everybody to our special meeting. Our first item on the agenda is patrons' concern. There was none listed, so we'll mark that as such. Next item on the agenda is the new business. Dr. Wonderman.
Okay. We're continuing on our journey about the food service management for the school corporation. At the last board meeting, we had Aramark here to do a presentation. Hopefully the board members that were not present had an opportunity to watch that online. It has been very informative and quite a journey as far as the level of laws that surround the food service industry whenever there's federal money involved. There's all different types of levels that goes into the first food service management venue. Nancy Dugan did an excellent job for us over all those years. And besides the federal reporting that she was responsible for to run a fiscally sound program that she did and to manage all of the staff as well, we have big shoes to fill. And it's a complicated system. And I cannot thank Nancy enough for everything she did over the years. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that. Going forward, we're going down two pathways. One would be if we wanted to continue a traditional model, similar to what Nancy had ran over the years with a food service manager. And then the other, we went through the bid process for a food service vendor. The Aramark won that bid. And then we had to send that up to the state, and the state had to approve the bid. So we did get verification and approval from the state that if you want to go for a food vendor, we do have permission to enter into a contract at this time. We went through the interview process with candidates that had applied for the food service manager role. And we had 3 very viable candidates that could work in various roles in our cafeteria program. And I think whichever way that we go, we might want to look at restructuring and having some other types of job duties and descriptions there for a dietitian, for instance, would be an additional role that we could add later. Again, whichever path that we go. At this time, I would like to recommend that the board enter into a 1-year contract with Aramark to kind of lead us down this process. They would help with the reporting and the structuring of the programs, also to meet our new goals of increasing the amount of meals that we serve to the staff and to the children. Also, we were wanting to offer more fresh produce, and we're also trying to increase our point of sales. So at this time, the dates of the contract would run from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. So I'm asking the board to approve that.
Entertain a motion. Go ahead, take that to this.
I'll make a motion, we accept the Aramark contract.
Second. So I take it we're laying this now by lack of a motion. Is that correct? Right. motion dies for lack of a second motion. So next steps.
Yeah, I tell you what, again, we had viable candidates. We'll be able to, you can't replicate what Airmark has as far as their business model, but we can do some things to improve and work towards those goals. We might not achieve those goals as quickly as we would have gone through a food service, but I'm still hopeful. And again, we had viable candidates, so I don't want you to worry that how are we going to do this? We'll be able to do it the other traditional model as well.
I think it's important. There was lots of comments from the last meeting and excitement for the new products that Aramark brought forward. So I think there was some excitement for new items in the lunch offerings. So look forward to going down that path. But hopefully they implement some of the changes that Aramark suggested.
Next on the agenda is Poseville Kiwanis is asking to use North Elementary grounds for their annual Autumn Fest, September the 27th through the 29th. I'd like to recommend that we allow them to use the facility. I'd like the board to allow them to use the facility. Sometimes they'll have a pancake breakfast. They use the parking lot. Sometimes they have things down on the soccer field. They didn't specify what they want to use, but we've allowed that to go on for as long as I've been here. So
I'll make a motion that we allow the Poseville Kiwanis to use the North Elementary grounds for the Autumn Fest.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt and seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the facility use request by Poseville Kiwanis for North Elementary grounds for the Autumn Fest. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
I need to add one thing to new business. We're involved in all the projects. I got a price for the indoor facility, the indoor practice facility and field house. It's right now that facility is entirely metal. If you look at our gyms at our elementaries, we have wainscoting with brick. They have given me a price of $41,700 to wainscot that building. Both the architect and the builder believe it would be the best thing for the building since so much traffic is going to be around there. That brick won't dent, whereas the bottom of the facility may dent up and it makes the structure more aesthetically pleasing. So I'd like to add that. And so we're being recommended by ARC that we need to do that, and we're being recommended by George that we need to do that. So I'm asking the board to approve $41,700 to wainscot with brick. It will be the same color as the brick on the red columns, the Joe Jingle Ball field. And then if we did create an awning between the two buildings, those brick columns could be replicated and it would make it all blend together. It is your decision. So anyway, I told him I'd bring it to the board tonight. So I'm asking the board to approve that.
I'll just add, this is something that we've typically given him the rights to, or the jurisdiction, however you want to say that, but to make those change orders, but given the fact that we were getting together this quickly, we went ahead and brought it in for discussion for everybody. But I think since we had everything came under budget, we've kind of always talked about doing things and as best we can, given the finances that we have allowed to us. So, this is probably not the way we would have sent it out to bid, given the financial constraints of what we were all trying to get done. But given where everything came back in, I think it's a valid change order to consider. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the bid to add brick wainscoting at $41,700 from ARC.
It would be 42 inches high.
Second that.
So a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Stock to approve the change order for the addition of the brick wainscoting for $41,700 as presented by Dr. Camp. Any other comments or discussion regarding that?
I just think that if you don't, then it'll look unsightly if we just dent it up and do things like that.
I agree, and it's close to the baseball field that we know the kids play football games on the other side of it. There's rocks that could be thrown as they mow, so I think it's a smart decision over time, sure. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-1.
I'll just give you a quick update on the projects while we're talking about them. North Elementary, everything is going along real well. They've gutted the inside, and you can see the brick laying out, the block laying out in front. They've torn out all of the front. The rain has paused that. If you look at that last box in the very front of the school, it is tied to the foundation, so it can't be removed. They're drawing up, however, they're going to try to fix that. We're either going to probably pour a wall and replace that, or we're going to put something over that. We're going to change the look of that, but that has to be fixed. Pretty much everything else there is going as scheduled. No, there's been no major issues or anything. We had our first construction report meeting yesterday, and so it's going really well. And actually we got some good news because before we were thinking the STEM labs, because the STEM lab at South Terrace is in the North Elementary project because it had no other type of construction. So Angie has been telling people because they told us that they weren't going to have those done till Christmas, but now they're hoping September. So we should be able, the casework's 10 weeks out. And so if they don't get backed up on the casework by September, those STEM labs should be operational, which is good.
We have a plan to operate with those in flux, I guess.
Yeah, we have, we met with ARC yesterday at the high school and the STEM labs. All of them are going to be operating under this and the locker rooms. If they don't have a ship date, and we're going to receive it tomorrow, we're going to receive it in 2 days, they're not going to demo it. And we've decided in the 2 classrooms that we're renovating that we're going to let them go ahead and demo what they can, replace the floor, replace the ceilings, replace the lighting, and not take out the cabinetry. And then when they take out the cabinetry, come back and redo they're not attached to the ceiling, so that won't have any effect there, but then they'll take from where the old cabinetry was and they'll finish the floor and do all of that. So we have a plan. So it would reduce the amount of time that they're going to be displaced throughout the first semester. Locker rooms, right now the plan is they can only do 1 at a time. Lockers have to be in. And if we get to a point where they can do 1 male, 1 female, we might let them go to 2, but right now it's 1 at a time. And so the timelines right now are pretty good. As the turf field with Sprint Turf, they're behind. There was erosion control measure that had to be taken care of. That has been completed as of today. They should be able to start back work Friday, but they didn't miss any time because it was so wet they couldn't work anyway. So we got all that straightened out and everything is ready to move forward in that project as well. The track we're not planning on starting to do until after the field is done. We've got word that the lighting for the fields, for the football field, is to be on site the 1st of August. Takes them about 2 weeks to get it in. There's a good chance that we'll have the other lights. They're not going to take them down until they get them in, but It's a good chance we could have that done by the first home game. And so if not, we'll have to use the old lights for the first home game. And so that's how that's going. And then the field house itself and indoor practice facilities not start till a later date. So there's where we are on the project. We just finished the pre-bid meeting for South Terrace and the playground. And so about 2 more weeks, those bids will have bid opening. And all of the paving is supposed to be done mid-July. So we'll have all that. So we'll have a lot of stuff going on. And through our normal funds, we replaced 9 or 10, I can't remember the number. It's either 9 or 10 classrooms. It's the 9th grade hallway, the English hallway. We replaced all of that. We had a water problem there, and water was coming through the floor. And if you were down that hallway, the carpet was curling because of that. So we took up the carpet, we took up the tile, we stripped the concrete, we then sealed it, and they had to seal it twice, and then they put the new carpet in. So that has been completed. So those rooms have been updated with carpet.
So refresh my memory on the fields. Is our field being completed by the same people that are doing Mount Vernon's field?
Yes.
Because I had a couple people saying that, asking me that they didn't think Mount Vernon was doing the same erosion control or something that we are doing.
To our knowledge, they did not have to do the same erosion control that we had to do. You don't see the fence up around there. So,
So because of why did we have to do the erosion control?
because IDM asked us to.
Okay. So something with our land or,
Well, you know, the thing about it is, we dug down 10 to 12 to 18 inches. There's a 20-foot barrier with the track. And we got unprecedented rains and the water never came up. No mud ever came over the track. That was a barrier in itself. But we had to spend extra funds to put up the barrier around the track to keep any erosion coming out of that field and going to Canyon Creek, which.
so this has nothing to do with helping, I don't know how we've had trouble with the track,
No,
the water gets under the top.
No.
I didn't know where the erosion control was going, so I didn't know if that would help with that situation. Just the whole leveling of the football field to help with that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this
what
is
we're
just-
doing-
This is just construction.
Yeah, right. Before the field was arced, it had a crown on it, and the water ran off the field across the track.
Right.
Now the track's gonna be tilted inward,
Oh, okay.
and all the water's gonna be running into the field, and then through the drainage system go out. So we won't have water going across the track, other than the water that's landing on top of it.
But the erosion control has nothing to do with the
No, it
drainage.
has
That's just strictly
It's,
construction period only.
yeah,
Oh, and then it'll go away at once. Okay.
As far as the dirt that came out of there, where did that go to? For some reason that several people asked.
Bolligmans,
Molligmans? Okay.
they had about 4 or 5 trucks going there constantly.
Do you want some dirt?
No,
I said, did somebody want it?
I have no idea. I said several people asked. I'll ask.
Okay, next on the agenda is personnel. I'd like to ask the board to approve the resignations as listed. Christine Fulton at South Terrace, Camille Anderson, girls basketball coach, North Elementary, Charles Harvey, girls basketball coach at North Elementary, effective immediately. So will the board approve these resignations?
We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve these resignations.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mrs. Will and seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the resignation request as presented by Dr. Camp. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to ask the board to approve the following hiring requests for the next 1920 school year. Channing McMahon requests to hire Rebecca Moss as instructional assistant at North Elementary. Derek Sweeney to have Jenna Zerkenbach as a volunteer coach for soccer, the soccer team this coming year.
Make a motion that we approve the hiring request. as presented.
Second.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt and seconded by Mr. Stock to approve the hiring request. It's presented by Dr. Camp. Any other comments or questions? The only thing I'll say, we said it every time, Zirkelbach is her sister plays, I think, so there's potential drama, conflict, whatever you want to say, so just make sure
Okay.
Shank is aware of that and in tune to prevent fires before they erupt.
I'd like the board to
Hold
approve.
on, hold on, we just-
Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of them again. Getting ahead of them again.
Slow down, slow down. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to ask the board to approve the professional leave request as listed. That dyslexia training is required by the state. North Elementary got theirs done. They were able to pay for theirs through the Title I grant. So we have to pay for this. So, and it's a required requirement by the state.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the professional leave request.
Get the second, is that right?
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Stock to approve the professional leave request. As presented by Dr. Camp. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make a clarification from the June board meeting. I'd like to redo some things here to kind of correct an error that I made. In the past, when we talk about patron concerns, it's not supposed to be a question and answer because it's too easy to make a mistake, especially when you're put on the spot. So I did make a mistake last board meeting. In the past, the board has, to my knowledge, never acted on donations. They've only acted on grants. We don't even act on grants that are reoccurring, like Title I, Title II, Title IV, all of those, some of the grants that Angie does that are reoccurring every year. So this is an example, Challenge Day. We had Challenge Day 5 or 6 times every other year for about 10 years. That was an anonymous donation of about 10 grand. It took about 10 grand to run kids through that. We never approved that as a board. The junior high had another anonymous donation that paid for special ed, underprivileged kids that couldn't pay to go to Holiday World and the clothing bank. That's an anonymous donation, and we get it every year, and it's never been approved by the board. Countless athletic donations, never been approved by the board. Mr. Bender donated a good sum of money to the Project Lead the Way classrooms for our 3D printers. That wasn't approved by the board. Bob and Liz Buckley, they built the field house that we currently have. That wasn't approved by the board. They put the sign in front of the school, the electrical sign. That wasn't approved by the board. The scoreboard that we got from Indiana University wasn't approved by the board. The Field of Dreams, they paid for the judges. That wasn't approved by the board. Handbooks, they used to pay for that, not approved by the board. So as far back as I can remember, I can't ever remember a single donation being approved by the board. The only one I can ever remember us not taking had stipulations with it. The Army offered a donation to the athletic department under Virgil Ferguson's reign. They had stipulations with it, and he refused to take them. That's the only one I can remember. Mount Vernon was getting a lot of large donations, so I got with Tom Kopatich, and I went out and I asked businesses outside of our school district. I didn't go to the farmers, the Sibes and the Benders and the Kesters to ask them for donations. I didn't do that. I didn't think that was proper. I went to big business just like Mount Vernon did. And at the 1028 hearing, the public requested that we do that. They didn't know we were already doing it. We just hadn't made it knowledgeable yet. So we have been asking for donations. And I want to clear up the Eon. Eon has never approached us and offered us money. We asked Eon for a donation. They didn't give it to us right at first. Dr. Wallenmuller wrote them a letter requesting a donation. Would you give a donation for the football field? No. The athletic facility? No. What about STEM labs? Well, that might be something we might be interested in. Can you write a letter requesting money for that? So we did. They didn't come forward here, here's money. They didn't throw money at us. We asked them. We actually had to ask them a third time. They have verbally committed, just like Country Mark has, just like Bob and Liz Buckley have, just like an anonymous donor has, and they verbally donated money to us. They haven't given us any money yet. And it was for the STEM labs. There's no stipulations on that aren't with any other donation we have. And basically that is to give them recognition at the board. Hey, they donated this money. We will do that with the other people. We will do that with them. The difference between us, Mount Vernon, and South Gibson is we have an AV of $480 million with the same tax rate, give or take a penny, of those same school corporations, Gibson Southern and Mount Vernon. We raise $4 million. Gibson Southern has about $1 billion AV. They raise $800 million. Mount Vernon has a $1.4 billion AV. They raise $12 million. We're competing against those schools with our facilities with half and 1/3 of the amount of money. We have always accepted donations, especially donations with no strings attached. Eon hadn't asked us for anything. We have nothing to do with Eon. The next point I want to make is I've been personally attacked. I've been on Facebook, and people are saying that I have taken bribes, that I'll be in Florida by the time these windmills are erected. I have never taken a bribe, and that's slanderous. Facebook has it. I'm lying to you. I have never told you or any other board a lie. I can guarantee it, and may God strike me dead if I have. I have never told a lie to the board. And if I have made an error, I've always come back and tried to correct it, just like I did today. So after being attacked, I decided I needed to do some research. I needed to find out what all those, we have nothing to do with Eon. We have nothing to do with turbines. I had no reason to investigate it. I've called 4 superintendents, 3 in the state of Indiana and 1 in the state of Illinois. I did that yesterday. My research from talking to 2 of those superintendents. I talked to Randolph Eastern School District, talked to the superintendent. Eon has turbines there. He said, and I'm just quoting what I wrote from my notes when I talked to him, there have been no horror stories. The school even has one. It has been the biggest economic boost that the community and the school could have ever had. They partnered with, not the school, but the Randolph Economic Development Committee. That's the same as our Posey County Economic Development Partnership. They partnered with them. And through that partnership with the Economic Development Committee, they've received $135,000 extra dollars in funding besides of the AV increase. It has been extremely good for our entire school corporation. There's 3 school corporations in the county, and all 3, this is the one superintendent. All the superintendents would tell you the same. There have been no issues. There have been no people leaving because of them. There have been no battles. There have been no sickness. They've had the turbines in their community for 6 or 7 years. And he again said, I'm sorry you're going through this. I know you had nothing to do with the turbines. Hope everything ends up okay. So I called another superintendent called me back yesterday from Armstrong, Illinois, Mr. Mulvaney, the infamous letter. Mr. Mulvaney says, we're a school district of 220 students. And when they were talking about putting turbines into our community, we had two families that opposed. One family opposed all the way to the end. The other family did as well. What they did the first month, the children in those two families came and said that they were having headaches, they couldn't sleep at night, they were having all kind of health-related issues. The superintendent said they never provided any documentation from going to a doctor, not to him. He said one of the families did pack up and move out. The other family was related to one of the school board members. The school board member on the side asked him to write the letter. And since it was in the first month of the turbines running, he wrote the letter because he did have two complaints. He said, I've received a bunch of phone calls over that letter. He said, today, even the board member that asked me to write the letter, he would be for the turbines now. They have 130 turbines. It's not Eon, it's a different company. One principal lives by the turbines. He reports no issues with his kids, no issues for himself. He said they've become part of the landscape and it's like living by an airport or whatever. You just get to where you don't even know they're there. He did say this, the principal did. Once in a while, in a blue moon, if the wind's blowing in the right direction and I'm standing on the right side of the house, I may hear it if I'm outside. There have been no issues since the first month whatsoever. It has meant the world to our school corporation. And he said EAV, and I'm assuming the EAV is the same thing as our AV. He said it doubled our EAV. We've been able to fix our buildings. We've gone one-to-one, and we've created STEM labs in our schools. He said it's the best thing that's ever happened to our community. I asked him, does anybody ever reported any cancer? He laughed, said, that's a new one, never heard that. The other two superintendents have not called me back yet. When they do, I'll make that report at the next board meeting. Moving on.
I've got a couple comments.
Well,
on that.
you can, let me finish. So with that being said, those are the two places that I've called. I mean, I've called 4, got 2 responses. I've asked Eon for that money. If Eon sends the money, we've already gotten 2 checks from 2 other companies and we're sitting holding it until we get them all. If the other 2 checks come in, because we had 4 total donations, I plan on accepting the money unless the board asks me and directs me not to. Because not taking the money would be treating them different than the other companies that we asked for the money for. It would be siding and it would not be neutral. So to stay neutral, we need to treat them like every other business that we ask for money from. So that's my report on that. And I'm sorry I made the mistake last month.
I am disappointed to hear that we approached Eon because it's not like every other company out there. They aren't employing anybody yet. I saw at the meeting you equated it to taking a donation from Duke. Big difference in my opinion. I don't know if you've noticed that this is a hot button issue in the community. And in my opinion, the only way that we as a board can stay out of it is to not take a donation from them. I don't have a dog in this fight. I probably couldn't even see a windmill looking at the maps from where I live. But I think that there are high tensions within the community, and as elected folks that sit around this board table, we owe it to the community to stay out of it. And difference of opinion here, I think if we do accept the donation, we are taking a side on it. So if we need a motion or what to.
We don't have any money yet. This is a verbal agreement.
Then can I ask that you bring it to the board, that one? Because I think folks are interested.
The only thing I'll say is, I think it's just disappointing that the community has forced this on the board. I mean,
There's nothing to do.
we have nothing, we have absolutely zero to do with this decision. And the community has forced us to make a stand. You know, by being called out personally on Facebook and accused of taking bribes on Facebook, we've all been done. I mean, they've named out all of us individually. I mean,
I think the only way that we don't have anything to do with it is not accept the money though. I
the
mean,
neutral
I
stand,
probably wouldn't have went and asked them. So my opinion, but if they came to us, to me, if there's no strings attached, how is it aren't you being neutral by doing the exact same thing you do for anybody?
It's different because they're not invested in the community at this
Sure,
point.
they are, they are.
but see, I'll disagree with you on that because they're already paying people.
They have already.
They've already
they're
made
already
infrastructure.
That's when I asked, when I found out there was already money that's exchanged hands.
I mean, if the Midwest Fertilizer offered money, would you take it?
It's a,
But they still might pull out of the community, right? We still haven't,
We
that
still
vote
have
hasn't
the
happened.
leases.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm-
we're
I-
not building anything yet, correct?
No, they've already got $500,000 in infrastructure.
But the
That's a little
commit,
different too then.
they can still, I don't know.
I just
This
don't
is
know
a-
where.
It's not a done
It's
deal,
a
right?
political issue which is undecided at this point in the county.
But on any other company that would be coming, I mean, and I'm not disagreeing with you, okay? I'm just trying to say, take Eon out of it, okay? And just call them Company A.
I think you can though.
Well, the community's done that, not us. But if you say Company A came and wrote us a check, we wouldn't say two things about it. And then if the
I
Company A
think it's
ended up,
always gonna depend on where it's coming from. It really would.
The only money that I know that we would not take would be from a hate group.
yeah, I'd agree.
We would not take money from a hate group.
And I'll just further to explain why I wrote the letter, again, once the money exchanged hands in the form of purchasing lease agreements, over $250,000 to me, that's a viable North Boise community, let's go for it. And so that's just where I was with my thinking.
And none of the corporations that we ask money from are in our district.
And I mean, I feel like we've been put in a no-win situation. I've got community members that have, when I've reached out and asked them their opinion, they said, take the money. You're silly not to take the money.
It's free money.
I was just up at the budget finance seminar up in Indy. I asked several people, board members, superintendents. They all said, you're silly not to take the money.
Do we have any idea when this will be decided at the county level? I mean,
That's a good
could we
question.
wait
I'd like for it
until
to be
that's
over.
over?
I would be too. I mean, evidently, we're deciding it, so.
Could we at least say we won't accept
Maybe they won't
anything
even give
until
us
it's
the
done?
money
Yeah.
till after that's over.
I don't know.
The
Who
last,
knows?
last conversation I had with Eon, just following up the STEM lands, that was after the meeting with the architect where he thought it would be December before the labs were going to be completed. Before, I said that we were going to order the supplies by July to have them stocked and ready at the beginning of school. So I told him there was no hurry because now we're delayed. But then yesterday they had a meeting with the architect and because of all the rain and everything. Now they're thinking September.
I just think we've been put in a difficult situation because if we take the money, we've got a group of people that say, oh, well, you're taking a stand and you're taking a bribe and all this other stuff. If we don't take the money, we've got people saying, oh, well, then you're saying support of
Right.
the
And they're in a bad shape now because all this has been public and they know that this fight is going on. And so now if they don't offer the money, then, they lied to them, so.
They may never even get the money.
It makes sense to me to wait until the politics are out of it though. I mean, then you're not taking a side.
I don't think
Just wait
there's,
until it's done at the county level.
I don't think taking the money, I don't see any politics in that.
A lot
It's
of
free
people
money
would-
with no strings attached,
Yeah.
just like Country Mark's money, just like Bob and Liz Buckley money is.
Is it?
We're not promoting it.
Can I just say, I know I can't have a patron's concern, but
No,
the
not
difference
really.
between a Country Mark and an Eon is Country Mark is a brick and mortar. And I think that's where,
Yeah, but that's not.
yeah, it is.
We have people from out of district that come in here all the time. I mean, they could,
We don't do the energy break over here.
I mean, you could have an internet-based company that's not brick and mortar here that,
Well, some of our personal donations are people, right? Some of our donations.
We've taken thousands of
That's
donations.
not straight from order.
I mean,
There's no decision have to be made tonight because there's been no money
There's no money.
given to us yet.
So I think to Vince's point, maybe you should come to us and ask us to approve it this one time, if
I
that will
think that
make.
would be fair.
well, I think we just go forward. I mean, do you guys want to, if somebody wants to make a motion to address the donation, we probably need to do it. Or write the motion to make them bring it before us, for us to
Can I make
decide.
a motion that if Eon offers a donation, that it is presented to the board for a vote?
I think we should wait
I don't
and
wanna
make sure
decide that
that
decision
there
right now.
is no stipulation on a donation. And take that into advisement if there is some kind of stipulation.
Especially since they haven't even given the money yet.
I think that would make you feel more comfortable.
I feel more comfortable with somebody seconding my motion.
Well, I understand.
Yeah, I'm
that.
not,
And no disrespect, I think we're just kind of discussing to get the motion the right, worded the way we want to word it. So I think we got a couple issues that we have to address and solve in this discussion. One is not necessarily approving the donation, but something to the extent of that talks to approving the donation. The second one is pursuing the donation. I mean, you know, it's
in their court this time, right? We've already pursued it. They've said they would give it. They have not given it yet. So
You
when
can't
they,
undo
when
that.
you can't undo that. So when they give it, I mean, before we accept it, I would like to know there's definitely no stipulations, right? I mean,
But then we'd be treating them differently than how we're treating every
we
other
wouldn't accept
donation.
any other, like you said, there was the ROTC or whatever it was, that one had stipulations, so we denied it.
yeah, but that wasn't us. Virgil denied that.
Okay, that didn't have to come to us, but if there was any stipulations on any other donation, we would probably have some sort of
Yeah.
discussion
I
around
almost
it.
think
Administration would deny.
if we
Yeah.
do what
Basically, a lot of people want, when they give donations, they want one or two things. They either want to stay anonymous, or either they just want recognition from the board. And we've done both. I mean, but there have not been votes where we've approved it.
I guess my suggestion is that the only way we can really handle this is by developing a policy for accepting donations.
Well, I think we kind of have that. It's handled.
We don't have a written written board approved.
The
policy.
board does not, the board doesn't approve
So
that.
we would
It's handled.
normally approve that.
This is just kind of a different
It's a
animal
weird-
though. In my opinion, we as the elected officials owe it to the community to make the decision. I don't think we ought to throw it on Dr. Camp. It's a big enough community issue where this one's just different. It needs to land on us. So,
See, I think if
We
we
have
do that,
nothing to do
we're
with it. Why should
taking
we
a
have to
side.
take that front?
You know, and I mean,
I just think we should on this one.
Eon is the one that's creating this or the community, but here's the deal, and I know these are hypothetical, but I go back to this. What would we have done if Midwest Fertilizer offered to write a check for 50 grand to both school corporations? Would we have said, hey, wait a minute, that's controversial? I mean, we're not gonna know that if we're gonna step in and say we're gonna approve every donation, that's micromanaging. I don't think
It
we want to
is.
do that.
Right. It's honestly, I think it's unfair to ask your superintendent to get in this hotbed community issue. I think it needs to land on
Well, but
us. the
isn't it
elected
unfair for the
officials.
community to put that same thing on us when we have nothing to do with it?
We're in it at this point, whether we want to be or not.
I don't wanna be.
So,
I want nothing to do with it.
Well, we're in it, but it's unfounded.
It's,
Yeah,
we're in it because the community's forced it, a certain
forces
part
to
of the
be in it,
community's
yeah.
forced
it is
it.
a
only in it
very
because-
divisive issue. You're gonna hear from folks anyway. You might as well have to vote on it.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I
It's
always,
not fair for him to have to put the grunt either, the run of the whatever, but I don't think it's fair for us to either.
I just look at this from a uniformity, a precedent
Mhm.
type of a deal.
It's different though, whether we want it to be or
But that's-
not, it is.
That's a
It's
certain people's,
political issue at this point.
Well-
That's why it's different.
I
But it's
plan on
not-
taking money with no strings attached to it.
I don't disagree that it is, but anything can be decided that way. I mean, you know, if somebody goes out here and behind the new addition and goes in one of those buildings and they put off, there's rumors that there's an obnoxious smell or loud noise, that could be deemed a political decision. I mean, if somebody wanted to put a turkey farm outside of Poseyville, that could be decided, it could be deemed a political issue.
A turkey farm would be similar to this.
So
So,
So you're
Dan,
always
did you
gonna have
come up
part
with
of
that?
it.
again?
But it's not, but the only reason it's gonna be political is because of the people who oppose it. It's not because the county or the community has said, hey, we've not had Bruce Baker who's, we haven't had any political figures come to us and say, hey, this is a political issue. We'd like for you to stay out of it.
The county commission is the one that is in the hot seat, not us.
True, but we've kind of, if
We haven't done anything.
Okay, we haven't done anything.
Yeah, you did, you asked for money.
we've asked for a donation. So by doing that, then we have kind of inserted ourselves into this.
I don't really think
Taxpayers
it's
asked us to ask
political
you,
issue.
I
I think
It
it's
is.
social issue.
And, but this being such a divisive political issue,
It's really not a political issue.
then don't second my motion, but I'm sticking with that motion that I really think this one needs to land on us.
I just think we're just dipping our toes in water and we're gonna end
So
up
that's
treating,
inserting us into it.
we're gonna end,
We're
I mean,
already in it. We've asked for a donation.
people have said, hey, we want you to stay neutral, then they want you to make a decision on it. And that, there's no way you could stay neutral on it by making a decision. And I just, there's no way about it, we're never gonna be able to treat everything else the same, so I'm opposed making a policy because I don't wanna micromanage everything else.
Well, no, I wasn't suggesting that we make the policy to
No, I agree.
micromanage it. I was suggesting that we make a policy that says that Dr. Camp can accept any donation without stipulations, without board approval.
And say, I'm not the only one accepting donations. Athletic teams are, cheerleading teams are, everybody's accepting.
There's no way we can
There's no way to
police
police
this on every donation that comes through this school. There's no way.
And normally, all the ones you brought up, nobody's having an issue with it. This is different, and that's why I think we need to handle it different.
I don't know.
I don't think it's different.
What if you have
I
five
don't know
people
what
that
it
are
is.
opposed to that donation? Don't they have as much voice as?
Then bring it up and make a motion. and I
So
think we
that
can
gets
decide
some
that again.
micromanaging then, right?
I don't think so on this one. This is such a divisive issue that by seeking out the donation, we've inserted ourselves into it. We owe it to folks to make the decision as elected officials instead of letting our superintendent take the hit.
Okay. So unfortunately, I'm gonna ask you to repeat the motion because I've already forgot it. I know what the gist of it was, but
I'll probably say different, but
well, let's make sure we get the motion right before we do it. So go ahead and restate
on
it.
this particular donation, if it happens from Eon, the doctor can't bring it to the board for a vote to accept.
Okay, so we have a motion for if a donation is presented by Eon, that it's brought to the board for approval. Is that fair? You got that, Ms. Secretary?
I'm trying.
I'd just like to say something, since it is my post that you guys are commenting on. If you would like to ask me a question, I'd be happy to answer it. I know that you're not supposed to talk now, but since everybody's talking about my post, I'd be more than happy to
I don't think
answer a question or clarify. I never said, do not take Eon's donation. I said to wait until the project was approved. If anybody wanted any clarification or to ask anything, I'd be more than happy to answer a question.
And I'm also fine amending my motion to, if it gets approved, then at that point, it's not a hot button issue anymore. So depending on the timeline, if it's decided at the county level before we get a donation, then it's a done deal.
I doubt it will.
I doubt it too.
By the time we need that.
Okay, so the motion is that if,
Don't even know at this point.
We can leave it alone. if you all are.
Well, I think it's a valid correction. If the donation is made by Eon before the, I don't even know how.
The donation is received.
No, how do you say, is it a project? Is it, what's
Before it's
the approved? I don't even,
approved at the area planning commission and by the county commissioner's office.
Those are the two.
There could be, at any time in this whole process, there could be ordinances that the county comes up with, or changes, or modifies. I don't think you can leave that open-ended.
I don't either, because it's not a project, it's a zoning and ordinance issue.
Yes.
Let's just leave it as it was.
I mean,
Sorry.
Erase my pen. I should have written that.
yeah, okay, so the motion is if Eon makes a donation, we bring it before the board to approve it. Fair enough? Second? Come on now.
You still vote it down if you give it straight.
I just don't want that responsibility. I don't know.
Well,
Like,
It's what you're elected for.
No,
No,
I
that
think
has
it's
nothing to do
made.
with me.
it's not,
It is.
it's not.
So do I take it that it's dying because of the lack of a second? All right, motion dies. You want another pen?
I have one more thing on information and reports. You have Susie Teakin, gave the board a thank you. She gave several of us, individual ones, and she also gave one to the, board, for her time here and the way she was treated. Susie Teakin was a great employee, and she'll be missed.
I'll pass around. Thank you, Craig.
That's all I have for tonight. The next regular meeting will be July 8th, Monday. Executive session will be at 5:30 if needed, if we have personnel issues. If not, the regular meeting will begin at 6:30.
So I did go up to that budget and finance seminar 2 weeks ago. Was really, really good. The guy from Purdue Ag Extension, what's his? Morse. I'm following him on Twitter now. He gave a 45-minute discussion. There is I'll bring the slideshows. Unfortunately, I was on vacation last week, so I wasn't able to put everything together, but I've got the slideshow printout, but it talks about, there was some comments in there about rural counties that are, a lot of their AV is affected by farmland, which ours is, and the declining, what they've done in the state legislature to change the valuation of farmland as it's addressed in property tax and assessed value, which I want to change, make sure everybody understands that it's not the value of farmland, it's just the way it's calculated in the assessed value approach. Has declined and is going to decline. They think it's not going to decline as bad next year. And there was some really good slides about property tax rates for school corporations, and he put together some benchmarks as they compare across the state. So what the median was, if you were above the median, if you were below the median, which I think is good information. So I'll put all that together and I'll have it for the July 8th, but it was pretty informative, so. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? All right, the next board meeting is Monday, July 8th. Executive session is at 5:30 if needed, and the regular board meeting will be at 6:30 here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I don't have that one on my calendar again. The meeting, July 8th.
Yeah, she
Does she not?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay. Just
We need to
making
get
sure
her
I
to send
didn't
them
miss
all
something.
out.
I know, I thought
Ahead
we
of
used to
time.
have
That
them
would be
all.
nice.
I've
Yeah.
got it.
You have it?
Can you remind, I don't have it on mine.
And did you, is it one you
I have
put in or is it an
I
invitation?
don't think so. It looks like her.
So we're
No,
not.
we're not yet.
Will you have her send that back out to us?
Yes. I can't get this on, but.
Okay, now I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second thing.
All right, so we have a motion by Mrs. Will, seconded by Mr. Crock to adjourn. We are so adjourned. Thank you.
5:57.
Yeah, I don't have